Hey guys, I have been getting a lot of requests to do more Rainbow Loom videos, and on top of that, a bunch of you have been asking me to make a Rainbow Loom charm video because I've never done that before. Since Easter is coming really soon, I'm showing you guys how to make my version of a Peeps Bunny charm on the Rainbow Loom, and you only need one loom to make this, which is wonderful. And I know some of you are going to be like, well, there's already some Peeps Bunnies out there, but I literally did not watch any tutorials. I didn't look at any Rainbow Loom pictures to do this. The only reference I had was a picture of an actual peep, and I just made it look like that. I messed up a lot. This is my first attempt. I put this photo on Instagram. My Instagram is Sarah Lynn T, by the way, so follow me on there if you want to. A lot of you guys on Instagram told me to make his ears a little bit shorter and to make him chubbier by adding extensions on the body and the face. So I did, and I came up with this guy right here. If you think peeps are cute, then please give this video a big thumbs up. Now without further ado, let's get into this tutorial because it's kind of a long one. First, set up your loom like this. You want the arrow to be facing away from you like so, and you also want the middle pin to be further out than the side two. Now I'm going to start laying my bands. I'm using double bands each time. I'm placing the first two bands from the middle to the left, these next two bands from the middle to the right. Now we're going to go along this left side into this middle peg with the next few sets. So double bands here, another set right here, and diagonally to that middle peg. Now repeat the same thing on the right side, using two bands at a time, and going to the middle once you're at that third right peg. To create the bunny's eyes, I'm going to first take this single brown band, and I am going to wrap it around 4 more times, so a total of 5 loops, and obviously I can't do this on camera very well. Here we go. So there's the third loop. There's loop number 4. So there we have loop number 5. Here's the second brown band, and this is just an easier angle for me to work with. So there we have loop number 4, and then loop number 5. Sorry if it's going out of focus. Then you're going to take the band color of your bunny and you're going to slide the eyes onto that band. So just kind of carefully get all the brown loops over, and then you can just kind of slide them up, and you're going to repeat that step with this set of brown loops. Just make sure that you're pulling the pink band tight enough so it doesn't come off the hook while you're doing this. Alright, so there we go. Now we have our bunny's eyeballs. Place this loop on the second peg, and then this loop on that peg there. Move the bands as far over to this side pegs as you can, and stick your hook through the middle of the pink band, and then just put that like so. Now place double bands down the middle pegs, 2 here, and then stop here. Now that the basic shape of the head is complete, I'm going to start placing bands along the left side, and this is going to form the body. Now I'm on the second and third peg, and I'm going to go till I get to 6. So we're on the third and fourth right here, the fourth and fifth, and then number 5 and 6. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you're going to place 2 bands from that pin to the middle, like so. Now we're going to repeat that along the right side of the loom. So go up to the second peg, third. Remember, we're placing 2 bands every time, and 2 more. Here's our final set until we place these 2 to go to the middle. And of course, we want to place a row going down the middle as well. Push bands down if you need to. 2 of them here, 2 here. And try to make sure that they don't twist like that. Hold on. There, that's better. 2 more bands, and place 2 bands right there. At that final peg, you'll need to place a cat band, and you'll need to twist this 3 times so it has 4 loops. Take it and twist it and put it over the peg. So there's 2 loops on it now. Twist it and put it over the peg. And then do that 1 more time. And now my final loop, so you can see it should have 4 loops, and this is what the loom should look like so far. Now I'm going to show you how to make the ears. For this length, you'll need 4 sets of double bands. Take your first 2 bands and you're going to loop those 2 times. So you should have something that looks like this. Now grab 2 more bands and you're going to slide this over. So it should look like this. And then you're going to take your hook and you're going to put it through those 2 loops on the other side. Like so. Yeah, like that. Take 2 more bands and slide the 4 loops over that band. Again, take the hook back through those other 2 loops. And then we'll do this one more time. Take 2 more bands and slide those 4 loops over. And through those 2 other loops. Put this ear aside. You're just going to slide it down to the thicker part of the hook. And then make another ear using this exact same method. Go ahead and pause your video because I'm going to make it off camera. Now it's time to add the ears. This is where we just placed the capping band at the end. So that means that the arrows are now pointing toward us. And this is, of course, where we added the eyes. So you're going to place the ears, one on each peg at the top. You're going to carefully transfer this from your hook to that peg. Make sure all 4 loops are on the peg. That should do it. So it should look like that. Do the same thing with this ear, making sure all 4 loops are around the peg. So it should look like that. Now we have to add an extension to make the face fuller. If you don't, then your bunny's gonna look like this and it's going to look really, really weird. When you add an extension, the face will look more full like this, and we'll also be doing a different method to do an extension for the body. The extension for the head is similar to making the ears, except for your first 2 bands, you only twist it once like that. Then you grab 2 more and you slide them over. Come on. Slide over, slide over, slide over, all of you. And then, of course, place your hook back through those 2 ends. Grab 2 more bands and slide those over those bands. Now there's 3 sets of double bands on here, so this is the 4th and final set. And you're just going to do the same exact thing, slide those over. And once they're all over, you bring the end of the hook back through those 2 loops, and you have 4 sets of double bands for the extension. Now you're going to do the same exact thing so you can have an extension for the other side of the head. Again, I'm going to do this part off camera, so pause your video until you catch up. Now we have our 2 extensions that look pretty similar to the ears. You're actually going to place these 4 loops where the ears are. Then you're going to stretch it past the 2nd peg and to the 3rd peg and put those 4 loops around that one. Repeat that over here. Carefully take the hook out, make sure all 4 loops stay on. Make sure that it comes out on the side here. Stretch it and put those 4 loops around this peg. Make sure they all go over like that. Now we have the extensions for the head, and we're going to work on adding extensions to each side of the body. You could probably do the extensions for the body the same way, but I have a little bit different of a method that makes it look more like this. For this, it's going to look a little funny because we're building our extension right on top of the bands we already have placed. So make sure your bottom layer is pushed down well. So I'm adding double bands along these pins, and we're just going to do that all the way down the entire length of the body. But then we're actually going to come out 1 extra like so. So your loom should look like this. You should have a bottom layer and then the top layer, which will be the extension. Now you're going to take a single band and you're going to stretch it across. You're going to skip that top peg and just do that one. And then this one, this one, this one. Go right there. And of course our final one. Once we're there, we can hook just this top layer of bands for the extension. So you reach your hook down in there and pull those 2 bands to the next peg. Ignore those bottom 4 bands or 2 loops of bands, and you're just going to get the top layer. Reach through, pull back, and you're just grabbing the top 2 layers of bands here. Ooh, shoot. That's okay. Hold on. Just put that back on. Oops. So you can see the separate bottom layers. I'm just going to stick my hook and just kind of push that band back and grab just 2 bands out. And then those bands go to the next peg. There we go. so they go to the next peg like so. Again, just get the top 2 bands, place them on the next peg, get those out of there and put those on the next peg. And this is your final set, so just pull that back, grab the 2 top bands, and put those on that final peg. Place your hook in that final set that you just hooked and make sure all 4 layers come off, and then secure it to the thickest part of your hook, and then carefully just pick off the top layer of bands. And that one. So it will look like this. Now I'm doing the same thing on the other side to form another extension. I'm placing double bands down the entire length of the left side of the body now. 2 more here, 2 here, and of course 2 more that just hang off 1 extra peg. Skip the top peg and move to the second one and place a single band across. So like that. Here's our 3rd single band, our 4th single band number 5, and then of course our last one. You can push that down a little, and number 6. Again, on this side, we're just going to hook the top layer of bands. Begin by pushing back that single band and bringing those 2 over to the next peg, and then carefully go down and grab just the top 2 bands, like so. It's okay if it does that. Just be extra careful to make sure that you still see those 2 loops at the bottom. Don't pull those with your extension. Hook like normal and just grab 2 bands, the 2 like loops. Okay, and then pull that over. Your top layer of bands here, the top layer of bands here, and here's the final hook right there. Make sure your hook's through that final loop and you can carefully pull off your extension. The extension that you just made and took off of the left side is going to get placed on this peg over here on the right side. I'm just stretching it so all 4 loops go around that peg. Then with the bands that are hanging out, you're going to place those across in a triangle. So you're going to put that band around 3 pegs. Grab this next one and put it on the next triangle. So like that. Grab this one and put that down and over. Take the next one and stretch that over like so. Then the last ones somehow are 2 bands, but you're going to place that around the triangles and then stretch it so this gets over the peg, so all 4 loops are over that peg. So it should look like this, and those 2 are across in a triangle. On the peg I just showed you up close, that's actually these 4 bands that this final band is through. Those bands are the ones that are placed over this peg, and that was not in focus at all, and it's still not. There we go. We're going to do the same thing for our other extension on the body. Here's the peg where we placed the first extension, so we're going to put that on the other side. Get all 4 loops over that and carefully take your hook out. Take the first single band and put it in a triangle. And put that on the next triangle. Make sure it gets over that. Now the 3rd single band will go on the next triangle, or those 3 pegs there. Oops. Right there. So that's the 3rd single band. This 4th single band will go on these 3 pegs. So right here. And then we're left over with 2 separate single bands again. So they just go on the last set of triangle, or the last triangle, like that. And of course we have to stretch the final band because we put the 4 loops on this peg, so we have to put those 4 loops on this peg. So we have those 4 bands placed, and our capping band is on the end pin, and then we have just all the single bands over as triangles. The final step before hooking is to add 2 more single bands to the head. So we're going to add one around these 3 pegs. Just add one here for the second triangle. Now it is time to hook. So we're going to go all the way to this cap band at the end. You're going to carefully place your hook through the 4 layers of that cap band. So I'm pulling back those 4 layers of the cap band. Make sure they don't come off the peg while you're hooking, but you're going to grab the top 2 bands. They're going to be the middle. I'm holding down the cap band because it will easily come off if you don't. And then I'm just going to carefully pull the 2 middle bands to the next peg, like so. Go in through your cap band again and get the next 2 bands. So those should go to the left side. We're gonna hold it down and then left side like so. And finally, we're gonna get the one at the bottom and pull it to the right side. And there we go. As you can see, there's a lot of bands on these 2 pegs, so you're going to be very careful when you go down through all these and make sure they don't fall off the peg, but you just want to grab the very bottom 2 bands there. So I pulled the bands out carefully, and then I'm going to put them on the next peg. Do the same thing on this peg and carefully pull out just the bottom 2, making sure that everything else stays on the peg. So there it goes, on to the next peg. Now what you're going to do is just hook the entire bottom row down this side. So you're going to go through all your bands and of course just grab the bottom 2. So we're pulling it out and putting it onto the next peg. Going in this one, pushing all the bands back and grabbing the bottom 2 bands only to bring them, of course, to that next peg. I got the bottom 2 bands there and they're going on to this peg. Then you want to go in here, grab 2 bottom bands and put them on the next peg. And then in this one, you're going to get the bottom 2 bands to pull over to this middle one here. Put them on. I've showed you how to hook this entire side, so I want you guys to try hooking this side on your own. I know this is easy for a lot of you advanced loomers, but go ahead and hook this side and then I will come back, so pause until you're done. I showed you how to do the right side on camera, and then I just did this side off camera the exact same way, but as you can see, this is what it should look like. And I actually stopped at this peg, so I'll show you this one on camera. You just go through all the bands, grab the bottom 2 out, and then you carefully pull them to the center. Now we're going to go to the end again where the cap band is, except we're going to go up to the next peg, and we're going to just hook the entire center all the way up to here. The middle is really easy because you just kind of grab down there and the bands are just right out in the open. See how easy that is? Just get them and hook them to the neck, go down in there and get those out to put it to the next. Grab those and put those up here, and grab those and put those to the middle right here. This is the neck pin, and this is the most difficult part because look at all these bands on here. There's so many. You have to find the middle one through all these and pull just those 2 bands out and over to this peg. And then I'm just going to put those up there. Now we're going to reach for this side, the left side, because that is the next top band. Carefully pull them out and then move them to the left peg there. Finally, you reach your hook through all these bands and just grab these 2 bands on the right side. Take them and put them right there. Now we're going to just hook this side normally and then hook that side and hook the middle and finish off by going to that peg. This is a little difficult because there's so many bands, but you just go through all of them and pull them back to stick your hook and grab the bottom 2 bands only. Okay, so then it goes to that peg. Then I reach down and just grab the bottom 2 bands on this peg, pull it up to the next peg, and you're going to do the same thing here. Reach down and grab the bottom 2 bands only. Put them on the top middle peg. We just hooked these pegs, so now you're going to go ahead and hook these 3 pegs, and then I'll come back. I just hooked the entire left side of the head, which was really easy, and brought the final 2 bands over to that top middle peg. Now in the center we're going to hook, and for this you'll actually have 3 bands because the 1 band is from the eyes, and you'll just pull those bands up to the next peg. And then here you'll grab those final 2 bands and pull those up to the last peg. Now you're all done hooking, and it's time to stick your hook through this final peg. It's going through every single band. You're going to hook a band and then carefully pull it through every single layer. I've pulled my band through the peg, and then I'm going to put the other side on like so. You're going to create a slip knot by bringing this side of the band over, and it should form a knot. And make sure your knot is pulling every single band and that it's around every single band. Yeah, my nail broke, ow. Now it's time to carefully remove your bunny from the loom. You just want to go pretty slowly and do 1 or 2 pegs at a time. Carefully. Then you can remove the entire body. I just pulled him off the loom, and his eyes are going to look really funny at this point. Once you work with them a little, they'll get smaller and look more like that. You can just mess with them a little bit. You can kind of grab the brown bands and pull them through a little to make the eyes smaller. You can do that on the other side. You can even make your eyes out of beads, but I didn't have any brown beads that were the right size to use. The final thing is to add a nose, so you can just kind of stick your hook through whatever part you want to. So I'm going to use these 2 bands. I pulled the brown band through those 2 loops, and then I'm going to make a slip knot by doing that. For the longer end of the band on the nose, I just stuck the hook through the back, and I'm going to just pull that through. Then you'll have a loop on the back, and once you're happy with how your nose looks, you can tie it off in the back. So I know that was an awful lot of steps, but I hope you were able to make this adorable Peeps bunny. I tried my best to film as slowly as possible and explain everything to the best of my ability, but this was my first charm tutorial ever. So let me know what you think in the comments section below. And if you end up making your own Peeps bunny, then please use hashtag SoCraftastic on Instagram to show me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and like my Peeps charm. Please let me know what you think of my new filming style. It's not really new, but as you can tell, I went a little slower than normal, but this is my first charm tutorial, so I didn't really know how to film it, and I didn't do a voiceover. I actually talked while I was filming, so I think that's actually easier to edit, so I might stick with that for the future. Please subscribe to the SoCraftastic channel if you want to see more of my videos, and you guys have a great rest of the day. I will see you soon. Bye! I decided to make a Rainbow Loom Peep charm, and they're backward. This one was backwards. A lot of you have been saying that there's a hair in my mouth.